Are text messages admissible in custody cases? Hi, I'm Alycia Kinchloe, the owner of Kinchloe Law, a family law attorney based in the Philadelphia area. When it comes to text messages, there are a number of issues that can arise when you're trying to get them admitted into evidence. You always want to speak with your attorney who's licensed in your state or where your case is going to be held to understand the facts specific to your case. And when you're submitting evidence, especially text message evidence, you want to understand generally the requirements that your judge, so not just your county, but your particular judge, requires in admitting that type of evidence. Now, in a lot of counties in Pennsylvania, a lot of courts are going to be virtual. So there are going to be a number of hurdles, even to getting the evidence to the judge to get ready for being submitted. So in that situation, you also want to understand not just how you need to get the evidence downloaded, screenshots, but you also want to understand how to get the evidence over to the judge. Are they going to require you to print out the document and then leave a copy or mail a copy to the judge's chambers? Do they want you to upload the document to a SharePoint folder or to some other folder? Do they want you to email it to the judge? So you want to understand what your judge's requirements are well ahead of your hearing. Now, again, in most situations, you waited a long time to be able to get this date before the judge, and you probably have prepared your case with your attorney, and you don't want to lose the ability to get precious evidence admitted because you fail to understand exactly how the judge likes the particular evidence to be submitted. Now, when it comes to text messages, like all other types of evidence, generally it has to go through a few things to make sure that it is appropriate for the court to admit it as evidence. The first thing generally is authentication. So the court wants to make sure that this is an authentic piece of evidence. And so that means that basically neither party, and usually the party that's trying to admit it, has altered it in any way. And that's why I say it's important to understand how the judge wants to receive your text message evidence. Some judges, and in some types of cases, will accept screenshots. They may ask you to, if you have a contact name on there for the party, they may ask you to remove that contact name so that the telephone number shows up so you can establish that these messages were exchanged between the party who had access to that phone number and the person who is either on the receiving end or who's seeking to admit that particular type of evidence. The court generally wants to make sure that only the two people have access to the phone so that it's not likely that you're communicating with someone else. Sometimes they will look at the nature of the text messages. Sometimes the other party may agree that it was them communicating, but you want to understand that you have to show that these are communications between the two parties if that is a relevant part of your case. All right. The next thing you want to be able to establish is the time frame of when the evidence came from. So oftentimes, whether you have an Apple phone or an Android phone, um, there are dates that are there. Sometimes they kind of fall off through the communications, especially if there was a lot of communication on a particular day at issue. So you want to make sure that you can show that this is an ongoing conversation and that you have all the pieces of the puzzle. Your evidence should be presented in a way that's easy to read and, again, easy for the judge to be able to understand. Now, in certain situations, the judge may ask you to use a system application that actually downloads the document, the text messages, in a way that can show whether or not they've been altered, deleted, whatever may have been happening there. So it's a little bit of a cleaner way to establish that, yes, there's no deleted text messages here. Because that's the one thing that screenshots generally don't show. They don't show that something was deleted between the two. And unless you have the text messages from both of the parties, you may not be able to compare them and show that, hey, there were some messages that are not here, or that's not exactly what transpired or took place because you don't see the messages just before or just after it. So you want to understand that as well. And again, what the judge requires, some judges may even require that text message evidence be subpoenaed from the carrier. And you want to think about how long that may take, especially, again, if it's crucial evidence to your case. Now, a lot of times in family law cases, depending on what level you're at, the rules of evidence still apply, but sometimes they can be a little bit more relaxed. So you want to understand that. You want to understand generally how your judge runs their courtroom. so that when you are trying to present this evidence, you present it in a way that's easy to read, easy to understand, something that the court knows is authentic. And then you have to think about how you actually present the evidence. And that is going to be a video for another day because that is a highly technical situation. But what I want people to understand is that it's not enough necessarily to show up to court with some pictures either on your phone that maybe have been printed out. Maybe you went to a Staples and got them on an actual photo piece of paper. The court has its own requirements about what is actually admissible as evidence, and what format it has to be provided in can be determined by your judge before your hearing. And so you want to understand what that looks like. And the best way to do that is by speaking with your attorney and preparing in advance. All right, I hope this sheds some light on text messages and whether they can be used in custody cases. Generally, they are allowed to be used. It's just the way that you present them. If you have comments about this particular video, any other videos that we've had, or topics you would like me to cover under custody, divorce, and support, make sure you put in the comments below. Remember, we're dropping a video every day of 2021. And then you can also hit subscribe. Do it now. Hit the notification bell so that every time we drop a brand new video, you get a ring. All right, until next time, take care.